Hi, I am Pasteurization. Today I am going to discuss about the last part of microorganism, that is the food preservation of standard 8. Now we know that the microorganism can spoil our food if the food materials contain the sufficient amount of moisture that will promote the growth of microorganism. Now the microorganism will discharge some toxic substance within the food materials. That this toxic substance can spoil the taste of the food materials. Now, how can we prevent the interaction of a microorganism to preserve the food or to preserve the food? That known as a food preservation. So food preservation is a process by which we preserve the perishable food from the microorganisms' action by using some physical method or chemical method, that known as a food preservation. Nowadays, food preservation are quite important for us. The first one, food preservation help to prevent the wastage of food. Now, the second one, all the oxygenal food are available throughout the air just because of the food preservation. Now, the perishable food are going to transport it from one place to the another place. Now the distance, if the distance between two places are quite long, but this type of perishable food are available in those places just because of the food preservation. Now, how can we preserve the food? How can we preserve the food? The most commonest way to preserve the food is the freezing or cooling. The food materials after eating we are going to store in the fridge. Now, fridge provide the low temperature when the food materials taken into the fridge. The low temperature will inhibit the growth of microorganisms, and due to the lack of temperature the microorganisms are not able to perform their function. That's the way we can preserve the food. This method is known as a cooling or the freezing. The second method is pasteurization. The Louis Pasteur invented a modern process or the modern method to preserve the milk or the dairy products by cooling and the heating treatment, that known as a pasteurization. In pasteurization, first we are going to boil the milk into 40 to 60 degrees Celsius temperature. Now that will kill the microorganism which present within the milk, and after boiling this milk product are going to be cooled down. The cool down means it became the cooler one. Now this process will inhibit the growth of microorganism or some harmful bacteria. Now this heating and cooling are continuously done to preserve the milk products of the milk, that known as a pasteurization. Now the third one is dehydration. Dehydration means removal of water particles from the food materials. In long day ago, our grandmother preserved the food materials by using of sunlight. Sunlight is the commonest way of dehydration. So when the food materials like the pickles are kept under the sunlight, the water vapors or the water present within the food materials are going to be evaporated by absorbing the sunlight. This is the commonest method of dehydration. Even by using of the dehydration, we can preserve some vegetables like cauliflower or the ginger. The third one, by using the salt and the sugar. These are the chemical substance. If the concentration of the salt and sugar are quite low. It's almost the 18 to 16%, 16 to 18% that will inhibit that will help to removal of the water substance from the food, or it promotes the dehydration from the food. If the concentration amount of the salt and sugar are increased over the 60%, that will retard the growth of bacteria. This is the process by which we can preserve the food. And one of the most commonest process by preserving, which are help to preserve the food, that is known as a chemical preservation. Some chemicals like the sodium benzoate can preserve the food materials from the microorganisms action. They are known as a chemical preservatives. By using the chemical preservative, we can preserve the food. This is the process known as the chemical preservation. Now hope you understand this process. In the later half, we are going to discuss about the nitrogen cycle. What is nitrogen cycle? Nitrogen cycle means the cycle-wise rotation of atmospheric nitrogen from atmosphere to the living organism and from living organism to the atmosphere by involving some intermediate phase that known as a nitrogen cycle. Now, in the first phase of nitrogen cycle, the nitrogen fixation will take place. So the atmosphere nitrogen will be mixed with the soil, that known as a nitrogen fixation or nitrogen assimilation. From the soil, the nitrogen will enter into the living organism body. First from the soil to the plant, then by using the food chain to the animals. Now after the death of this living organism, this nitrogen are going to back in the soil, and from the soil this nitrogen are going to discharge in the atmosphere by the process of denitrification. It is the commonest process of nitrogen cycle. Now, how the nitrogen cycle occur in our environment? The first one is nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen fixation means the process by which atmospheric nitrogen are going to fix with the soil. Everyone knows about the rhizobium. Rhizobium is a symbiotic bacteria which present in the leguminous plant. This bacteria or the rhizobium can fix the atmospheric nitrogen with the soil directly. The second one, blue-green algae are also able to capture the atmospheric nitrogen and mix with the soil directly. So these are the microorganisms which help to fix the atmospheric nitrogen with the soil. During the lightning, may some nitric oxide are formed which absorb the water vapors or the water droplets and form some acid. When these are fall down as a rain in our soil, the amount of nitrogen will be increased in the soil. These are all the natural processes. And the artificial way to fix the nitrogen, that are the chemical fertilizers. Most of the farmers are using the chemical fertilizers like the urea, ammonia, all are the nitrogenous fertilizer. Now, when the farmer using those type of nitrogenous fertilizers, it means they are adding the nitrogen with the soil. The first thing, nitrogen in the soil, the atmospheric nitrogen in the soil by using of the symbiotic bacteria, rhizobium or the blue-green algae, or by during the lightning time, this nitrogen will be captured in the soil. Now this nitrogen will be converted into the nitrogenous compound. And we know that the plant are going to absorb the water and minerals from the soil. The plant root are going to absorb the water and the minerals from the soil. So the nitrogen will be captured by the plant, and by using this nitrogen they will produce the food, or this nitrogen will be stored in their body parts. Now when the consumers like the defined animals are capturing those food, this nitrogen will be converted, will be rich in our body. Now after the death of the living organism, then we are going to decompose. Some process are take place. First one, after the death, the nitrogen will be converted into the ammonium salt by the process of ammonification. By the process of ammonification. This ammonification after this ammonification, some ammonium salt will be converted into the nitrates by nitrosophine bacteria. When the nitrates compound are going to form, from this by using some denitrifying bacteria, nitrogen will be released into the atmosphere. This process continuously goes on and the nitrogen cycle will be occur. Hope you understand today's topic. In our later video, we will discuss about the conservation of animals and plants. Till then, bye.